Hello, and thank you for tuning in. You are tuned in to The Encourager, and my name is Nehru. Thank you so much for tuning in, and to our subscribers, thank you so much. To new listeners, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you receive beneficial information and things that my my focus is a little unusual energy this morning. So I do want to continue the book of Enoch, and we're going to start in the 14th chapter. And so, of course, the first through the 13th chapter, you can find those. And I'm actually going to put them in a playlist. I haven't created that playlist yet. But just like the moon readings, I put that in a playlist when I went through the zodiac signs and their moon sign and what it means, and when your moon sign's in Virgo or Sagittarius or Libra or Gemini, what that means throughout the month. And it goes through that cycle every single month in each zodiac sign. Okay, the moon stays in that sign, in each sign, for approximately 2.5 days each and every month. February is a leap year. So something interesting about a leap year, at least as far as my natural family is concerned, biological family. My grandmother, Odessa, you've heard me mention her name before if this isn't your first time tuning in, passed on February 29th of 2018. So she actually passed on the leap day in a leap year. So that's significant, no doubt. And so the Book of Enoch, again, the Book of Enoch are the downloads to Enoch, okay, from Most High. Just like Paul, just like David, just like Samuel, just like Esther, just like Noah, just like any of them, right? They're downloads, just like I get downloads, you get downloads. It's Most High's voice, okay? Or spirit guide. Could be your angels, your ancestors, but that comes from divine source. So this book was removed from the Bible because it talks about communicating with your angels, okay, and communicating with your ancestors. That's why this particular book was removed from the one that people are familiar with, Genesis to Revelation. Okay, so chapter 14, let's get started. This writing is the word of justice. Oh, so let's do a recap real quick. So the recap, very quickly, in chapters 9 through 13, we are going through Enoch receiving information in regards to what's to come of the earth and man because of man's evil deeds, man's fornication, man's adultery, man spreading STDs, sexually transmitted demons, and sexually transmitted diseases. He was sending the flood, and he was sending a warning. Let them know this is what's going to happen to them, because they are bastards, and it literally says bastards in one of the verses. And so they are bastards. So anyone who thinks that Most High does not use profanity, first of all, Most High doesn't care about words. He cares about the intentions and the heart of the word. Okay? So I think it's funny that people get their panties in a bunch when they hear something that they perceive as profanity. This is what the scripture means when it says, do not use the Lord's name in vain. This is what that means. This means do not say, God told me this when God did not tell you that. That's what that means. It doesn't mean don't say God damn. That's not what that means. Okay? It means don't use my word name in vain to get shit that you want or to manipulate people. That's what it means to not use his name in vain. It doesn't mean don't use his name with the word damn. That's not what it means. Or damn it, or whatever, right? So, again, a misinterpreted scripture that man has lied to us about. Just another one. And that one is between Genesis and Revelation. All right? So he is telling them in chapters 9 through 13, you're going to die. I'm going to destroy all of man. Enoch hears my word. Take my word to Azazel. Azazel was the one who was the king in charge of spreading all of this. Sodom and Gomorrah and all. He was in charge, and not necessarily that time period, but he was in charge of allowing the evil and the witchcraft and the sexual promiscuity and all. He was the authority, right? And it's just like this. The president of the United States, if he says, I don't know, that he wants to make something legal that, I don't know, we're going to make fornication legal. You can sleep with whoever you want to, and they can't take you to jail for it. Their spouse can't take you to jail for it. You can do whatever you want to, right? You can unalive them. You can do whatever. There's no repercussions, right? That would be mass chaos. He would have repercussions. He would be held responsible, or she, whoever. They'd be held responsible for that. Okay? That blood is on their hands. Okay? So Azazel had the blood of all of these people that he allowed to do these things because he was the leader. Okay? He was the leader. So Most High is telling Enoch, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to send a flood. It's going to take out everyone. Tell Lamech, who was Noah's father, tell him this is what's going to happen. They're all going down. And I'm only going to save him, his wife, his 3 sons, right? 2 of every unclean animal, 7 of every clean animal, and 7 of every bird. That's what I'm going to do. Okay? Enoch tried to go to Most High with pleading, or at least the people wanted him to, but that didn't work. Okay? So chapter 14. This writing is the word of justice and the admonition of the watchers, who are from eternity, as the holy and great one commanded it in this vision. So who are the watchers? The watchers are the angels. The watchers are the ancestors. The watchers are Sekhmet, Mayat. The watchers are the ascended masters, Buddha, Jesus, Mother of Mary, Saint Germain, and there are many others. These are the healers here on this earth. These are the light workers, the star seeds here on this earth that are in their job, not the ones who have turned karmic, right? Or decided to follow false teachings or preachings or be led astray. Not those, not the ones who have fallen. These are the watchers. We are the watchers, the 144. These are the watchers. Okay? I saw in my sleep, and your archangels, I think I said archangels. I saw in my sleep what I now will relate with a tongue of flesh and with my breath. Okay? So he had a supernatural experience that he's now getting ready to speak and release out, just like we do. Okay? Which the Great One has given to the mouth of men, that they might converse with it and understand it in their hearts, as he has created and given to men the power to understand the word of knowledge. Thus also he has created men and given men the power to upbraid the watchers, the sons of heaven. Okay. I have written your petition, and in my vision it appeared to me thus, that your petition will not be granted, people, in in all the days of the world, and the judgment has been passed over you, and nothing will be granted unto you. Okay? So, verse 5 in chapter 14, and from now on ye will not ascend into heaven to all eternity, and upon earth it has been decreed that they shall bind you for all the days of the world. But before, so in chapters 9 through 13, Most High said that it was going to be 70 generations, 70 generations, okay? That they were going to have to deal with this curse and the repercussions of their choices. 70 generations. Okay? But before this, but before this, ye will have seen the destruction of your beloved children, and you will not be able to possess them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Possess them, meaning either rescue or spiritually, right? Because again, spirits can move, right? Spirits can leap from one person to the next, right? I'm reminded of a movie called, I'm kind of thinking of the movie called Stigmata, but I'm also thinking of the movie Seven with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. It talks about the 7 deadly sins, but a spirit can move, okay, from one being to the next. This is how someone goes in and out of different personalities. That is a spirit. Man tries to feed that with pills. What a fucking joke. What a joke. Okay. Someone who has multiple personality disorder, that a pill is never going to fix that. You think you can kill the devil with a pill? Try it. Give it to the serial killer before you incarcerate him or before you put him in that chair, right, to end his natural life or her natural life. Give them that pill and see if it helps them. Man does some idiotic shit that makes absolutely no sense. They give the pill to somebody, telling them that it's going to help them, but they end up unalive. Why didn't you give why didn't you give them the pill? If you believe this pill works so well, why didn't you give them the pill? I feel like Denzel right now. My man. Yeah. Your petition for them will not be granted unto you, nor the one for yourselves. And while you are weeping and praying, you cannot speak a single word from the writing which I have written. And verse 8, the vision appeared to me thus. Behold, clouds in the vision invited me, and a fog invited me. And the course of the stars lightning drove and pressed me. And the winds in the vision gave me wings and drove me. So he was being ascended into a place in order to receive this download. You cannot receive from Most High functioning in a low vibration. I wanted to say decrepit. I'm using strong words today. Decrepit energy. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't be a slut, be a hoe, be a prostitute, and still think that you can also function divinely. You can't do that. You can't be religious, right, and wholeheartedly believe in that without acknowledging the tugs on your heart to be spiritual and not religious, because religion is sin, is doing the same thing over and over again. Literally, look up the word religion. It literally speaks to it being of a decrepit mindset, a deplorable mindset, religion, and it being something that's done repetitively without a different result. It literally says that in the dictionary for religion. And yet, we attend so many religious things, and we do so many things religiously. Okay? All right. Okay. In verse 9, and they lifted me up into heaven. Again, that was an ascension for Enoch. And I went till I approached near a wall, which was built of crystals, and a tongue of fire surrounded it. And it began to cause me to fear. Okay, so there are several very obvious points between Genesis and Revelation that man overlooks and will not tell you the truth about. They kind of brush it over. So they will tell you that Jesus turned water to wine. They won't tell you he's an alchemist. Okay? They'll tell you he fed 5,000 with 2 loaves and a couple of fish. They won't tell you he's an alchemist. Well, that kind of gets into, well, no, he was an alchemist. Okay, how else do you turn water to wine? You have to be able to change something into something else. How do you turn an illness into a healing? You alchemize that shit. That's how you do that. Okay? How do you turn a death sentence? It could be an illness. How do you turn a death sentence from a doctor into 80 more years of life? How do you do that? You alchemize it. Okay? And that's all healing is. That's all miracles are, is alchemizing. That's all that every miracle is. Me saying I didn't need dialysis, that I was just there to socialize. For 21 days, I said that. The phone rang with a kidney. Thank you, Car. The phone rang with a kidney. Just alchemize it. Okay? In Scripture, they took out crystals. Frankincense and myrrh are mentioned in Scripture, but what they won't tell you is that these things get rid of evil energies. They won't tell you that part. They won't encourage you to use frankincense and myrrh today. They won't encourage you to use sage today and smudge, and they won't encourage you to do that today. Ministers won't. Right? They might be doing these things themselves, but they don't share it with you. That might give you too much power. Okay? So many things that are in between Genesis and Revelation. Man left in there thinking you wouldn't catch it. Or thinking they could speak around it. Okay? Verse 10. And I went into the tongue of fire, and approached near to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of this house were like a floor inlaid with crystals. Crystals are extremely healing. Crystals come from the earth. Anything that comes from the earth is going to be good from you. Whether it's food, whether it's walking on the ground, that's the way you ground yourself. I saw a picture of Casey Musgraves, and the name Musgraves came to me like sometime last year, like in the summertime of something last year. And I think I've listened to maybe one song she's ever sung. She sings like country, folk kind of music, I think. Kind of like Santa Sophia, who I was talking about the other day, who is a German lady. And so Casey Musgraves is kind of country folk kind of music, right? I didn't know who she was before I downloaded Musgraves last year sometime. And I only looked her up. I looked up every other Musgraves. Most of them who are popular, I didn't find very many popular today. Most of them are historical figures, they've passed on physically, right? But I saw a picture of her, and she is laying in this field of either dandelions or something else is coming to me about dandelions. Dandelions mean hope and manifestation is what dandelions stand for. Thank you, Most High. Hope, that's what hope means. I remember looking it up. Yeah, it means hope and manifestation, I believe. Or abundance or something like that. Okay. But she was laying in a field of either dandelions or sunflower, and she was naked, right? And she was kind of in a fetal position, and her back was to the camera, right? But she was naked in this picture, right? The ground, the earth is extremely healing. Again, as man continues to F that up too. But the ground, the earth is very, very healing. That's why the more natural things we can do and ingest, the better, right? And I'm just like you. It's been a long time. No, I order pizza probably at least once a month. I do order a pizza. But I eat a lot of bananas. I like berries. I just had a thing of berries last night. Blueberries. Yeah, right. So crystals, they come from the earth, and I'll just leave it there. And again, all of these things are healing. Man wants you to think, religion wants you to think that these things are evil. Just like someone who's psychic, just like someone who's a tarot reader, just like someone who's a palm reader, just like someone these are not evil people. Why do you think the kings I forget the one who had Joseph come and tell him the dream? Because the other dummies couldn't interpret it. That's why he called Joseph, right? And then he began his ascension, spiritual or physically, right? And became leader of the army and so on, second in command and blah, 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 after being placed in a basket in water, in the river or lake or whatever, right? So, verse 11, the ceiling was like the course of stars and of lightning, and the cherubim of fire were between them. And cherubim of fire were between them. And their heaven was water. A flaming sword surrounded the walls, and the doors burned with fire. And I went into this house, and it was hot like fire and cold like ice, and there was nothing pleasant and no life in it. Fear covered me, and trembling seized me. Verse 14, and as I was shaking and trembling, I fell down on my face and saw in a vision. And behold, there was a second house, larger than the other, all whose doors stood open before me, and it was built with a tongue of fire as well. And in all things it excelled in grandeur and magnificence and size, so that I cannot describe it to you, its magnificence and its size. Its floor was fire, and above it was lightning and the course of the stars, and its ceiling was also a flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a high throne. Its appearance was like the hoar frost, and its circuit, and its circuit like a shining sun, and voices of the cherubim. And from under the great throne came streams of flaming fire, and it was impossible to look at it. And he who is great in majesty, streams of fire, was great in he who is great in majesty sat thereon. His garment shone more brilliantly than the sun, and was whiter, than any hail. Right, and that's the hail that's the hail that falls from the sky. None of the angels were able to enter, nor any flesh to look upon the form of the face of the majestic and honored one. Fire of flaming fire was round him, and a great fire stood before him, and none of those were around him could approach him. So they were admonishing and looking, but they could not approach. 10,000 times, 10,000 were before him. But he required not any holy counsel. And the holy ones who were near him did not leave day or night, nor did they depart him. And I had so long a veil upon my face, and I trembled, and the Lord called me with his voice and said to me, Come hither, Enoch, and to my holy word. Verse 25, and he calls me to arise, and I went to the door, but I bent my face downwards. Chapter 15. And he answered and spoke to me with his word, Hear, and fear not, Enoch, thou just man and scribe of justice. Approach hither and hear my words, and go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee, that thou shouldest petition for them, yea, should petition for man, and not man for you. Why have ye left the high, holy, and everlasting heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken wives unto yourselves, and acted like the children of earth, begotten giants as sons? And that's a question. And begotten giants as sons, like what the fuck? That's what that is. That's a question there. Question mark. While ye were spiritual, holy, having eternal life, ye defiled yourselves with women, and with the blood of flesh have begotten children, and have lusted after the blood of men, and have produced flesh and blood as they produced who would die and are destroyed. Verse 5 of chapter 15. Therefore I have given them wives, that they might impregnate them, and children be born by them, as it is done on earth. Ye were formerly spiritual, living an eternal life without death to all the generations of the world. Therefore I have not made for you any wives, for spiritual beings have their home in heaven. Let me tell you something. For me, this might be for no one else but me. I mentioned earlier that I was married to Most High. That's my lover, my best friend. That's what I'm talking about. I've never read this verse in my entire life, at least not in this sense, not in the physical sense. I might have seen it in my Akashic records, and I might have read it in another lifetime, but not in this lifetime. Okay? So this is what I mean when I speak to men and women not needing a man or woman by their side as a romantic partner in order for them to fulfill their purpose. Yes, collaborate with men and women, business purposes and all of that, right? But I'm at this level. That's where I am. Okay? Where I'm okay with it just being Most High and myself. Okay? And relationships are a lot of work. That's just my own personal opinion. And actually, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. Relationships are a lot of work. Certainly those types of relationships. And that's a lot more work than I'm willing to do. I don't want to do that type of work. And yeah, I don't. And so, where are we at here? Spirits and giants cast themselves. Okay. Okay. Verse 10. But the spirits of heaven have their dwelling places in heaven, and the spirits of the earth who were born on the earth have their dwelling places on earth. And the spirits of the giants who cast themselves upon the clouds will be destroyed and fall, and will battle and cause destruction on the earth, and do evil. They will take no kind of food, nor will they become thirsty, and they will be invisible. And these spirits will not rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them in the days of murder and destruction. So those who were meant to keep watch did not. This is why he destroyed the giants. Again, this is the end of Methuselah's days. Okay, is when this Enoch was receiving this information and being told about the flood. Methuselah is Noah's grandfather. Okay, chapter 16. What's the time? Oh, okay. Chapter 16. And of the death of the giants, when the spirits have perceived from the bodies, their flesh shall decay without judgment. Thus they shall be destroyed till that day, when the great judgment over all the great world shall be completed over the watchers and the impious. And now, to the watchers who have sent thee, that thou shouldest petition for them who were formerly in heaven, say this to them. This is what he's saying. Tell them this, Enoch, Most High is saying. Ye have been in heaven, and though the secrets were not yet revealed to you, still ye knew illegitimate mysteries. You knew illegitimate mysteries. And these ye have in the hardness of your heart related to the women, and through these mysteries women and men increase wickedness over the earth. Tell them, therefore, ye have no peace. So I often say that our spirit is fully mature when we are birthed, and it is. Our flesh, mind, and all of that has to catch up. And it really only has to catch up after the age of 5 or so, because, and science has shown this, before the age of 5, most children function in an imaginary place. Okay? This is why they can have fun with all their imaginary friends for hours at a time. Teenagers have a hard time doing that because they have become so inundated with the world that at that point, 10 years after, they stop being so imaginative, right? 11 years after, how many are 9 years after, right? They stop being so imaginative. They're paying so much attention. There's so much that have entered their orifices, their fleshly orifices, that they have a hard time putting the two together, marrying spirit and flesh, heaven and earth. Okay? Naturally, they are drawn more towards the earth because that is what you can taste, touch, and feel, right? So they're drawn more, and that's what they're speaking of. So all of the secrets they did not know, all of the wisdoms they did not know, but what they did know, they took and used for evil, is what it's saying, and used it to help man really lower their vibration and their energy. Not increase, not ascend, but descend. Okay? Chapter 17. And they took me to a place where there were images like flaming fire, and when they wished, they appeared like men. And he led me to the place of the whirlwind, and on a hill, the point of whom summit reached to heaven. And I saw shining places, and the thunder at the ends thereof, and in the depths thereof a bow of fire, and arrows, and their quiver, and a sword of fire, and all lightning. So let me tell you what this is. So Most High is all zodiac signs. This zodiac sign is speaking to the sincere. It's speaking to the Sagittarius. This bow, this arrow of fire, that is what that is the censer. We read about the half horse, half man in Scripture. You can read about that in Revelation chapter 6. Okay? Revelation chapter 6. Thank you for bringing that to me, Most High. Revelation chapter 6. You can read that. I'm not even looking at that. I'm not reading that. I couldn't tell you one verse in that chapter. I know it's Revelation chapter 6. But Most High speaks to that, and in other places too, of this half horse, half man with this bow. Okay? If you look at the traditional natal chart, the zodiac chart, right, for all 12 zodiacs, you will see the signs facing a certain way. These are stars in the sky. We can see the zodiac signs, yes, in the sky. There is a Libra in the sky, sign in the sky. There is a Aquarius sign in the sky. There is these amongst the stars. Yes, these like the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, these are also in the sky. Yes, for signs, synchronicities, wonders. Yes, they are. Okay, so that's what that's speaking of right here. Okay, and also in Scripture that refers to Most High, that being. Okay, right, as all of them do. And so in verse 4, and that is, yes, that is true. And verse 4, and they took me to the so-called water of life, and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting to the sun. So what's interesting here is I remember sharing the Cave of Treasures, I believe, when Adam and Eve were evicted from the Garden of Eden. And when they were evicted from the Garden of Eden, Most High set them in a place called the Garden of Treasures. And in this, or Cave of Treasures, and in this cave, in this place, he speaks to he speaks to how he directed them, what pointed to the west, what pointed to the east, right? And so the west was very, very specific in particular. And it's interesting that, again, we're seeing a point to the western part of, and I can see how this could be that same land that Enoch was in, or this vision, or this ascended place that he was in. Okay, because even the place that Adam and Eve were evicted to was an elevated place from where we are today. Spiritually speaking, it was a much purer place than the land that we walk upon today, the air that we breathe today. Okay. All right. Verse 5 of chapter 17. And it came to a river of fire, whose fire flows like water, and it emptied into a great sea, which is towards the west. And I saw all the great rivers, and it came to a great darkness, and went there where all flesh wanders. And I saw the mountains of the black clouds of winter, and the place whither all the waters of the deep flow. And I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. Chapter 18. And I saw the repositories of the winds, and I saw how he had ornamented all the creation and the foundations of the earth with them. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the four winds which support the earth, and the firmament of the heavens. And I saw how the winds expand the heights of the heavens, and they remain between heaven and earth, and they are pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds which turn the heavens, which lead down the course of the sun and all the stars. I'm talking about certain dimensions. So he's seeing different dimensions. So third dimension, fourth dimension, and I don't know all of the dimensions. I don't know what happens in all the dimensions specifically and what they're for. I know a few of them. So this is obviously the 3D. Okay. Then in the 4D is where all the spiritual battles happen, right? This is where all the fighting takes place between heaven and earth. This is where, and it's above the clouds, right? This is where the battles take place. The fifth is where Most High dwells. Okay, his angels and these cherubims that never left his side, these tens of thousands that just honor him, that just worship, that just speak to this holy deity, divine source. That's in the 5D. But there's a 6D, and there's a 7D, and there's an 8D, and there's a 9D. I don't know how, but there's many. Okay, there's many, maybe 12. Okay, so maybe 33. I don't know. So where are we at here? verse 4. Yes, verse 4 of chapter 18. And I saw the winds which turn the heavens, which lead down the course of the sun and all the stars. And I saw the winds upon the earth which carry the clouds, and I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heavens above, and I proceeded towards the south, and it burns day and night, and it burns day and night, there where 7 hills of precious stones are. 3 towards the east, 3 towards the south. But those towards the east, 1 of colored stone, 1 of pearl, and 1 of atomy. I'm not saying that word right, I'm sure. Atomony. I'm not autonomy? No. That's not. No, I'm not saying that word right. Atomony. I'm not sure I'm saying that word right. And those towards the south of redstone. Okay? But the middle one reached up to heaven. Okay, so there was 3 pointing to the east and 3 pointing to the south. There was 1 that was pointing in the middle that was pointing straight up to heaven. Like the throne of God of alabaster. Okay, we've also heard about the alabaster box. Okay. And the summit of the throne of sapphire. And I saw a burning fire which was in all the hills. And there I saw a place. Beyond the great earth, there the waters collected. And I saw a great abyss in the earth with the columns of heavenly fire. And I saw among them columns of heavenly fire which fall and are without number, either towards the height or towards the depth. So innumerable. I don't know if numerous is a word, innumerable amounts of these walls, this fire, ceiling, floors. Verse 12, and over the abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of heaven above, and no foundation of earth beneath, and no water above, and no birds upon it, and it was a void place. And there I saw a terrible thing, 7 stars, like great burning mountains, and like spirits that petitioned me. Okay, so in this desolate place, he is seeing spiritually what is happening on the earth. So the decrepitness, and deplorable acts that man was doing here on earth, and I'm liking that word deplorable things that man was doing here on earth, natural. Enoch was seeing this from a spiritual standpoint. So I shared the other day how this looks, and I used Tina Turner as an example. And I think I use myself as an example. I'll use myself as an example again. So as a child, those of you who have listened to me for any time, thank you. You know that I had dreams as a child that I would be fighting the sperm donor, right? Back then, he was my hero. He was every part of whatever man I wanted to be, right? I actually wanted to be 6'4". I've always wanted to be 6'4", but I'm 5'9". I've always wanted to be 6'4". Why? I don't know. I just think that that's kind of like around a real good height for man. But he had been doing witchcraft against me. I didn't notice as a kid. He has been doing witchcraft against me from the very beginning. Okay? I know I've had other interactions with him in past lifetimes. Okay, same thing with other individuals that I've come across this lifetime who are now experiencing karma. I've dealt with them in other lifetimes. You have dealt with the karmic people in your life in other lifetimes. They keep following you from one lifetime to the next lifetime. That's what they do. Not every lifetime. They might skip lifetimes, but they are following you until you rid yourself of them once and for all. Okay? So that showed me spiritually what was going to happen naturally, what is happening, what has happened now, right? So Enoch was being shown the spiritual side of what was happening spiritually on the earth. Does that make sense? So again, on the earth, it might look like you can't get a job. But in the spirit, it could be any number of things. It could be someone doing witchcraft against your money, so you can't get a job. It could be Most High saying you are meant to own it. You're not meant to be a slave of it or a slave to it. Okay, so he's saying go out and go start that business. Don't be the slave in someone else's promise. Go fulfill your own. Okay, or again, he could be saying that's not your place. You have to use your own discernment, right, to determine what that is. Okay, but that's what Enoch is seeing here. He's seeing the mirror, heaven and earth. Okay, then the angel said, "This is the place of the consummation of heaven and earth." See, and it is a prison for the stars of heaven and for the host of heaven. And the stars that roll over the fire are they who have transgressed the command of God before their rising. So they did not ascend. That's why they did not rise. They did not ascend because they did not come forth in their time. He only gives us a certain amount of time. Once that time is up, the fat lady sings, curtain call, lights out. Okay? And he, verse 16, was enraged at them and bound them till the time of the consummation of their sins in the year of the mystery. Chapter 19. And Uriel said to me, Uriel, archangel, Uriel said to me, here will stand the souls of those angels who have united themselves with women and have assumed many different forms. So these angels were here to guide us, and obviously, just like in the flesh, some turned evil. Satan, Beelzebub, Lucifer, right? Male and female energy. There's a Beelzebub and there's a Lucifer. Or excuse me, there's a Jezebel and there's a Lucifer. Jezebel, Beelzebub, right? There's a male and female energy. Okay? See it everywhere. See it always. We have both of those. Okay? Chapter 19. Okay. Here will stand the souls of the angels who have united themselves with women and have assumed many different forms and contaminated mankind and have led them astray so that they brought offerings to the demons as to gods, namely of the day when the great judgment on which they will be judged shall be consummated. And their women, having led astray the angels of heaven, will be like their friends. And I, Enoch, alone saw this vision, the ends of all, and no man has seen them as I have seen them. Watch out for your enemies. That's what I was about to say. Most High didn't want me to talk about friends. I'm sorry, watch out for your friends. Most High wanted me to say that. The enemy didn't want me to say that. Trying to block my throat chakra. Right? So your friends. Chapter 20. And these are the names of the holy angels who watch. Uriel, one of the holy angels, the angel of thunder and of trembling. Raphael, one of the angels of the spirits of men. Ragal, the angel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance. Thank you. Archangel Ragal, thank you for taking vengeance on the earth. And the luminaries. Archangel Michael, it says Michael, one of the holy angels, namely set over the best portion of man and over the people. Archangel Serakel, thank you, Archangel, one of the holy angels who is over the spirit of the children of man who induce the spirits to sin. Thank Archangel Gabriel, verse 7 of chapter 20, one of the holy angels who is over the serpents and over the paradise and the cherubim. Scroll down here, getting to chapter 21. And I'll stop at chapter 21. And I went around to a place where not one thing took place. And I saw there something terrible, and no high heaven, no founded earth, but a void place, and awful and terrible. And there I saw 7 stars, and tied together to it like great mountains, and tied together, and like a flaming as if by fire. And that time I said, on account of what sin are these bound, and why have they been cast hither? And then answered Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, conducting me, said to me, Enoch, concerning what dost thou ask, and concerning what dost thou inquire, and ask and art anxious. Okay, so Enoch was feeling a certain way. He's like probably like, what the hell is this? What am I supposed to gather from this? This is weird. This is bizarre. Like, what's going on here? Trying to understand where he was in his ascension place. These are the stars who have transgressed the command of God, the highest, God the highest, and are bound here till 10,000 worlds. The number of the days of their sins shall have been consummated. Again, it's kind of saying again what it was saying in the earlier chapter. And from there I went to another place which was still more terrible than the former. And I saw a terrible thing. A great fire was there which burned and flickered and appeared in sections. It was bound by a complete abyss. Great columns of fire were allowed to fall into it. Its extent and size I could not see, and I was unable to see its origin. And at that time I said, how terrible this place is, and painful to look at. And at that time Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, he answered and said to me, Enoch, why such fear and terror in thee concerning this terrible place, in the presence of this pain? And he said to me, this is the prison of the angels, and here they are held to eternity. Okay? So, the Father is taking Enoch on this ascension, showing him from a spiritual standpoint what is going to happen in the natural. Okay? And again, this is speaking about the ending of man concerning the flood. And man being casted out and not having an opportunity for redemption until Yeshua came. Okay? So speaking of the promise of Yeshua and letting them know that you will be in this place of fire, fallen angels, until Yeshua shows up. Because only Yeshua can resurrect man by coming to live as man, doing all the things that, or being tempted by all the things that man's tempted by, yet not giving in to those temptations. Only can that type of spirit, soul, deity, ascended master, lift up man that has fallen so far. That is what Most High was saying. That's what he was showing Enoch. They will dwell here until such a time as the consummation. The consummation was the death, burial, and resurrection of Yeshua, the ascended master. That's what that was. Then they will be given opportunity to be redeemed to me if they choose to. And that's exactly where he is today with man. Yeshua has shown up. He has died. He has been risen. He did ascend. Now, man has that opportunity. Will man be okay to dwell in these places where the floors, ceilings, waterfalls of fire, floors of fire, ceilings of fire, walls? Is man okay to continue in that way? Or will man take the opportunity that's been given to them to rise up? And I love that that word is mentioned so many times in the chapters that I read today. Rise up. I've said it today. I said it to the collective, 144. Rise up. Now is the time. Now is the time. Most High has given the enemy all of the warnings that he's going to give the enemy. The enemy doesn't need any more warnings. Most High is out of time. Most High, not out of time in like tick time. Most High is out of patient time. Okay? There's no more patient time for the enemy. Okay? 57 minutes exactly. Okay? So thank you so much again for tuning in. My name's Nehru. You have been tuned into The Encourager, listening to the book of Enoch that's been removed from the Bible because Enoch speaks to, again, as we can see, speaking to angels, ascensions. You're talking about a physical man who walked this earth, and he's speaking about ascending and interacting with these angels. Man does not want you to know that. Or I should say humans. Humans do not want man to know that. Okay, I view man as Most High's creation. Humans are man's creation. That's how I see that. Okay, so the angels who fell from earth deceived Eve and then got that ball rolling down the hill real fast, and Adam real fast, right? Those are the angels who came down here and taught fornication, taught adultery, had families sleeping with their own family members. These are the pedophiles, the murderers, these are the ones. These are the angels. Thank you, dog. These are the angels that fell. Okay. So, again, consider, do your own research, and see how Most High speaks to you, your spirit, and revelations that you get. Because the revelations that I get from what I read, sometimes they're for us all, sometimes they're just for me. And that's just the nature of the journey. That's just the nature of the journey. Okay? So, again, thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Encourager. I hope you are doing well. Continue to enjoy your day. And know that there is a better way to live here on the earth that isn't so religious. It's not so monotonous. It's not so routine. And yet, there's a rhythm to it. Okay? Thank you so much, and tune in next time.